Alright guys, TacticalRab again, so I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The CDL is back in action today, but Shotzzy teaching some pretty crazy ideas here on this map, Karachi. Pretty mind-blown at what Shotzy's been coming up with here behind the scenes, and Scrappy not so happy about getting trolled as well by the Movement King. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate. There was the elite matches going on last night, especially in the North American side. There was lots of action here actually. Donnie, Temp's team, interesting start to the season for Temp really, because he started on that Houston Spartans team that were looking pretty good early on. They were scrimming the pro teams looking pretty good, but that was in the first couple of weeks. Then that team somewhat regressed. Temp ends up leaving, goes to join a different team, and now obviously is trying to find his way back into the CDL at some point. A name that has been thrown around somewhat in terms of, okay, you need an option for a flex player, a second AR player. Temp would have been a name expected to be really in those conversations, but to be fair, so far this season, in Illy's role, of course in, you know, Awakening's role or whatever, Temp hasn't been so much in the conversation. That of course would change if they were to go on to look particularly good from here on forward. These some of the numbers as well. Top 10 NA performers from day one in hardpoints. Some familiar names of course, but I thought this is pretty funny here. So as Clay said the replies, who is this KB kid, right, who goes 85 and 52 on the day for a 1.6? And we see some discussions in the replies and Clay's like, okay, yeah, that's my future rookie, right? So, you know, that's the thing with Clay. We never really know how long Clay's intending to still compete for. And of course, well, the body language, shall we say, last weekend's was not especially ideal, I wouldn't say, for the state of that Ravens team. But honestly, who knows, right? And if Clay's talking about, well, maybe it's time to find a new rookie, another option. We don't know how the season's going to go. We don't know what Clay's going to be looking like next season, whether that's going to continue on Ravens. Clay basically said that if he has to deal with the whole Rostermania circus again, then he's probably just not going to bother. But if he was to stay on Ravens and then could maybe, you know, keep Gwinn or get somebody else here, one of these other rookies, would be interesting to see. But I thought it was kind of cool that Clay implied certainly that he's not going to be done anytime soon. This as well was going on in the elite here. This guy Niam, who nearly clutched this pretty insane 1v3. I don't really know what Cabby was doing there. He tried to troll, but surely clutches the 1v1 anyway. And as you guys probably could tell, these shots here that he hits, okay, I know that guy was weak, but blimey, the way that this guy Yeez died in like, what, 2 bullets? I mean, Sento was absolutely mind-blown at this one, and plenty of other clips to share as well. Today, apparently, there's going to be some sort of announcement on what's going on with the Challengers event at the Miami Major. So the Miami Major is going on, of course, at Major 2. We know, you know, it's all kind of confirmed now in a few weeks' time, the venue and all this type of stuff. But they were talking about trying to do a Challengers Open as well. There were questions whether they could do it at the same venue or whether they needed to do it elsewhere or even at a different date. So possibly they can do it during Major 2, which of course is optimal. The other option was like, could they do it one weekend after? Because if they did it one weekend after, that would be the only COD happening that weekend, which if anything could be better, but I'm sure really the players want to be at the Major with the pros playing challenges at the same venue. That is the optimal setup, but apparently it's either going to be at the Major or it's going to be April 5th through 7th, which is definitely better than nothing. So honestly, like, fair play to Heretics and Misfits and everyone behind that organization trying to make this happen, of course, but it's not optimal, is it? Because that would run alongside the first week of Major 3 qualifiers, which is, you know, not really when you want it to be, especially because after Major 2, teams will make changes, I'm almost certain, based on the results. And ideally, you want to look to challengers. Who won the challengers event? Who's the top couple of teams? Who are the best players? To then determine who you're going to pick up. That's exactly what happened after Major 1 this year. But if the Challengers Open is a couple of weekends later, the pros don't get to do that. So I think they'll still make moves, but all of a sudden, Challengers Rostermania happens right before the Open. Not optimal, really. So hopefully they can figure that out during the Major weekend itself. There was also like an update that JoeDeceives said it broke cruise missiles. So why am I not surprised? But Diamond God kind of hit him with a haymaker here in the replies as well. Now, I will share a couple of clips in a second because there were some funny clips going around last night. Havoc as well was doing Ben Asim completely dirty. But the main one that I wanted to touch on really here was, well, TikToksy or whatever you want to say. Shotzzy playing some 8s, Shotzzy playing ranked over the last couple of days. And this clip that was going around here I thought was one of the more ridiculous things I've seen done in 8's gameplay. And look, this is Shotzzy at his best in some way. It's funny in a way, right? Because he is like 8-12 on the scoreboards, and they are down by 40. So I know that he was getting kind of roasted for this. But it's still quite the clip here from Shotzzy. Gets bullets on the first guy, goes for the first kill, and then I've not seen anybody go up here before. Pred was mind blown. Pred did not know that was possible. Goes on a 5 spree there as well, Shotzzy. And Gwinn must have also been completely mind blown at how he actually managed to pull this off. Even this like dive cancel that he does at the end of the clip as well was just disgusting, to be honest. So look, this is what Shotzzy's got in the locker. Nobody else in the league does stuff like this. And like, if you cancelled out Shotzzy's name tag here, right, if you just covered it up, you could still tell it was Shotzzy based on plays like this. I don't know how he understands that there's even a place to go up there, like how he like learns the geometry of these maps, but I wasn't aware that was a thing, and Gwinn clearly was not aware that was a thing either.
I'm dead. Oh. Oh god, I'm gonna pinch him. Hey, what the fuck? Did they patch that? Did they patch that shit, chat?
Enemies inside the perimeter.
There you go.
He's one shot, punch him.
Oh my god.
Alright, push it down.
I'll just spawn out then.
Yo, Gwynn's 1 HP, like back their middle.
Dark, Scrappy.
They're side mid lane, really weak. Like
dark.
dumpster. I just row, dude.
He's front too.
Oh! What the fuck was that?
Nice. Wait, Toodle.
What the fuck? And just trick shot at them.
Main middle.
I didn't even know you can do that.
Top
down.
Stand by. Target area updated.
Holy shit, what the fuck is that nade? I'm on the fucking hill!
I didn't need that.
You fucking idiot!
Wait, how'd you know? Wait,
Yeah,
what?
get used to it.
Enemies inside
Oh,
the
he's in
perimeter.
time weak.
Wait, how'd you know?
One.
It's in the top right.
So just to show you guys here from Gwynn's POV, so here he comes round the corner, his teammate goes in first, gets killed, sees Shotzzy, and of course, I mean, look where he pre-aims, right? I mean, understandably, he pre-aims, even pre-fires down here, and then Shotzzy comes up from, he can't even see Shotzzy on the scrim, now that's kind of wild, right? Shotzy's so high, jumping off this window ledge thing that he was on. Not exactly sure if it was a window ledge or if it was like basically a pixel walk, but I think either way it's probably a legal spot. And Gwinn like has no idea where he's dying from, and he dies before he even recognizes that Shotzy's dropping down from the sky. So just mind-blowing stuff. I guess we'll see more players try this possibly, but I don't know if other players are going to have the ability to really pull this one off. So obviously people are going to say like TikTok seat, right, which is, you know, go for the TikTok world star clips. So as we've said before, it's part and parcel, right? Shotzzy will make mistakes and do, you know, things that maybe he shouldn't be doing, and getting him under control and on a bit more of a leash is probably a good idea in general. Just looking back to, it's not like Shotzzy wasn't making these plays in MW19 or 2020, 2021 when he was teaming with Clay and Kremp, but it did feel like they kept him slightly more under control. Not to say that he shouldn't be doing this, because, you know, there's not many players in the world, if anyone at all, that can actually do what Shotzzy does here, which is what makes him such a fun player to watch. But it's part and parcel, right? He'll make plays like this, which look spectacular, but then he'll also make plays that maybe, you know, throw away the game or whatever you want to say. It's a key piece to look at as well this evening, because they play a pretty big rematch actually from the major on the championship Sunday. We'll discuss here in a second. Also thought this is interesting from easyMac put together a list of the victories that Toronto Ultra put together. They broke the hardpoint win streak, right? 14 in a row they won until they lost to Minnesota Rocker. We'll discuss in a second on Rio the other day. It was funny though, right? The comparison here, because this is Toronto's win streak. They went on the 14 maps they won in a row. Of course, they lost that terminal to Boston, but apart from that, they've won everything during the major, before the major. Really impressive, to be honest. Even the numbers that they won by, to be honest, like this is their team KD. They won quite a few of these with the negative team KD, actually, especially against FaZe, which was kind of interesting. Some of them they crushed, but even like the average victory numbers here were pretty impressive. I mean, even 100-point clubbing Subliners on Karachi like they did was not bad. This, for example, though, the Thieves. So, yeah, bit of a different story. Currently on a 10-loss streak here after losing to OpTic. Of course, they played this weekend as well, and wasn't a pretty loss to OpTic either. Even like if you look at their average loss numbers, you can't quite fully tell, like it's not averaged out here, but you guys can see what it's looking like, right? 170, 170, 180, 230, 220, 190. I mean, it's not been great, has it? And even Octane's here in the reply saying, like, yo, calm down, like, don't do the boys like that. This is also an interesting stat before we discuss tonight's matches. If Scrap makes the finals at Major 2, which is maybe seems more likely than not right now, the way Toronto are looking. He'll have made the finals in 4 of his first 8 pro lands. There's not many players that have done that, and this is the list. Scump, Kremp, understandably. Big Timer as well, the original greatest of all time. What a legend. Good to see him back in the scene as well a little bit. I think he was on the watch party the other day. Big T has got to be like the most entertaining character, in my opinion, like ever. He's one of my favourite personalities of all time in COD, so love to see him still around. Simp, Shotzzy, Illy, and then Miracles as well, of course, from way back in the day. So that would put Scrap in a pretty elite bracket, especially because that's not been done in quite some time. I mean, Simp, Shotzzy, and Illy are now, you know, they've come into the scene several years ago now, so Scrap would be the first one to achieve it in quite some time. This as well, First Blood leaders. This is very interesting to me. I expected aBeZy to be topping these numbers, but he's actually not. Fame is number 1 on these numbers here from Los Angeles Grillers, probably because Simp and aBeZy are sharing this duty more so than usual. Simp has been incredibly good this season, has been FaZe's best player as far as I'm concerned, but usually the way that it's gone, even in Cold War when they were dominant, aBeZy would be getting all the first bloods, Simp would be the second man in. This time, they have pretty similar numbers. I do expect at the end of the season aBeZy to have more, and probably to be topping up the numbers, because that's usually what happens. But even on OpTic, right, like Pred is at 26 here, which is quite interesting, because that has been Pred's role to be the first blood demon on Surge previously, but that's also kind of like Shotzzy's thing, right? So the way that they were going to balance that is a question. And apparently FaZe have decided the way that they're going to balance it is just by not balancing it at all and just letting both of their players do what they want to do from an SMG side. So I guess we'll see how that one trends going forward as well. But these are the matches for today, not the ones in the middle, the ones on the left-hand side. So this is the entire weekend, by the way. OpTic played twice this weekend on Friday and Saturday. No final game of the day. Can you believe it for them this time? Although it's FaZe New York to close out the weekend, which is going to be really interesting to see if New York can keep their progress. But we'll see if, well, they actually start and close the weekend, New York, because they play Boston first game today. These guys played at the end of the Major 1 qualifiers, went to a game 5. Snoopy fell off the map, if you guys remember that one. Cap still nearly clutched a 1 versus 4, but it didn't happen, and Boston went down, and that cost Boston their winners bracket spot. So that was a big series then. At the time, Boston and Subliners looked really neck and neck. Of course, New York going to the Major and got slammed out top 12. I do think this new Boston team is better, and I think that Subliners to me are like a 60% favourite, maybe 55% favourite. I think, honestly, the Boston upset here, though, is a realistic option. But I do think Subliners will take some decent confidence from last weekend's games against Surge. So I think I am going to take New York here in like a 3-2 or something. I think it's going to be close. OpTic Rocket, though, is a really interesting rematch to happen right about now, because Minnesota, they played each other, of course, Championship Sunday at the Major. OpTic got the victory pretty comfortably. In the end, it was 3-1. They went on to top 3, of course. Rocket went out top 4. But that was Rocket pretty good performance, right? I mean, top 4 would have been very respectable, I think, on paper for those guys. And now they look like a pretty solid top 4, top 5 team. I just want to see how Awakening does in this series, because when they played OpTic in the Major, he got slammed at both of the hard points. They lost both of them. If that's the same story today, questions are going to be there about this team. I think that OpTic should have their number. I mean, I think OpTic have beaten them both times they played this season. They played online. They lost the search, but they won the series, and OpTic won it on LAN. So I'm not expecting a different story here, really. And then Miami versus Vegas. This is like going to be great to see where Vegas and Miami sit right now, because Vegas won their game last week, but it did take a masterclass from a touch-up against the Los Angeles Grillers. Miami, they lost to Toronto and FaZe, but those two teams are very good. So how good are Miami with their new team? We don't really know. We know they're going to be an inconsistent force. That's just how this team operates. But are Legion actually taking a step forward here with Jew in the team and Purge doing his thing? So I'm actually going to take Vegas here, I think, in like a game 5. That's going to, maybe that's not really a hot take, to be fair, but I think that's what I'm going to go for to close out the day. So if everyone's intrigued, your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.